Good evening. I'm looking for a motion for nomination for school board chair. Elaine?
I nominate Bob Staples.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Second. Okay. Now we go into the discussion phase. I talked with our lawyers today. You only vote for one person at a time. People need to understand when we do the roll call vote, at the moment, the motion on the floor is for Bob to become the chair again. If he gets more yes votes than no votes, he would remain as chair. If he does not, then the motion is defeated, and then we look for other nominations. With that being said, since this is a discussion phase, was there anybody else tonight that was going to nominate somebody else that's different? Holly?
Yes.
Yes, and who was that?
I'd like to nominate Jody.
This is only part of the discussion phase, okay?
I would like to
Yes,
discuss the possible
okay.
nomination of Jody Ford.
Okay, thank you. Now, Jody, if you were to get the second nomination and voted in, would you take the position?
Yes, I would.
Okay, that's important for people to know. Like I said, we vote for Bob first. We don't necessarily get to Jody depending on what the first vote is, but people need to know that there is somebody else who wants to run and somebody else who is willing to take the position. Does anybody have anything else to discuss or to nominate anybody else?
I have a question.
Yep.
How long have you been chair, Bob? Just curiosity for my part, since I'm new.
A little over 5 years.
5 years, okay, thanks.
Andrew?
Oh, thank you. I would like Bob to please express why he wants to remain chairman within like a 3-minute time limit like we allow for public discussion. If he's willing to, or if he just doesn't want to speak, that's fine too.
No, that's fine. I think that I have the time to do it because it is a very large time commitment. So with, being semi-retired and having my own business, I can, at the drop of a hat, be there if needed. I know the process quite well. I'm still learning. We're always going to still learn. But, so I just, having done it as long as I have, and I just would like to continue. I don't know if that answered your question, Andrew.
It does.
Yep.
Roger?
I don't know if this is appropriate to speak on, Bob, but I know in past discussions, you've mentioned possibly retiring at some point, maybe at the end of this term. That being said, I think it'd be best to pass the torch prior to you leaving us and having a brand new board chair without a former chair to assist them. So I think it would be best for the board if you were willing to step down to vice chair and train up whoever we would nominate as the chair.
I actually have 2 years left on my term.
Okay. Still, I think 2 years to train up another person would be a wonderful thing. That's just my thoughts on the situation. Yep. That, and I think, given the way the Rick vote went down, it's time for change.
Any other questions for discussion? Because this is your opportunity, because once we go to the roll call vote. Holly?
I'm just wondering if there are any, is there any room for improvement or any room for more transparency if you stay as the board chair? Room for more discussion amongst us as board members with you to bring some unity to this board?
As I've said in the past, anybody, if you have any questions, always contact me. I've always talked to anybody who has done that. So I think I've been quite transparent. As far as meetings with Scott, I mean, Scott explained that to you, so if that's part of it, I'm not sure. Like I said, I'm always learning. I'm always willing to learn. We're actually, one of the things that we're planning is like a board 101 sometime in the fall to be able to meet with our lawyers, and they can go over things and answer questions and talk about procedure and that type of thing, so that's,
Okay.
Tasha?
I would just like to ask the same thing of Jody that Andrew asked of Bob. I guess why she would like to run and her commitment to that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been on the board for about 2 years, and I think that there could be some room for improvement in communication amongst us, as well as just having term limits. There isn't a term limit at this point to try to, make changes that may need to occur for our students and for the community. I'm willing. I have a very flexible job, so time is not an issue, in which Bob said it might be as a working person, but I am sure that I will do the job as best as I can and open to pretty much, hearing and looking at things maybe a different way than they have been looked at in the past 5 years.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, just so we understand, the motion that's on the floor is for Bob Staples to be voted in as board chair. If you want him to be voted in as board chair, you vote yes. If you don't want him to be voted in for board chair, you vote no. Because if he receives more yes votes than no votes, he becomes the board chair. If he receives more no votes than yes votes, then the motion fails, and then we'll be looking for another nomination. Does everybody understand that? Tasha?
So if Bob doesn't make it to chair, then what happens to Bob then? Like, is he still on the school board? Like,
He's
how does
still
that
on the
work?
school board. Everybody gets voted in by the towns or appointed by the towns to be on the school board. This is only about whether you're board chair or vice chair.
Okay, thank you.
Excuse me,
Yeah,
sorry.
that's
Will
okay.
he be the chair if Jody gets more votes? Or does he get up and move over there?
He would get up and move. Yep, it's this meeting, this is the meeting that decides that, yep. Laura has a question?
I'm sorry, you're just gonna have to speak really loud, because you're competing with that stupid cooler. Wonderful cooler. It's so loud. How are you here? No, freezer. We just have to speak really loud, that's all. Thank you.
So we all set. Can we have roll call, please? Oh, no, no, you don't, it's not public comment. This is all about the board. Sorry. No, not of this. This is part of the board's discussion.
I'm just gonna start at the top.
Okay.
Robin? Yes. Lena?
Yes.
Jody?
No.
Elaine?
Yes.
Dawn? Emery?
No.
Roger Bolton?
No.
Holly Morris?
No.
Tasha Perkins?
No.
Ryan Riley?
Yes.
Tina Riley?
Yes.
Bob Staples?
yes.
Dawn Stroud?
No.
Andrew Sylvester?
Yes.
That's 7 yes. 6 no.
The motion passes.
I have a question. Bob can vote for himself. He doesn't have to abstain.
Nope, he does not.
He doesn't have to.
Does not have to abstain.
Okay, we have a nomination for school board vice chair. Holly?
I would like to nominate Dawn Emery for vice chair.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Second, Roger. Is that something that you want, Don?
Yes.
Okay. So we're going to open this one. Is there possibly any other motions? Not motions, but possibly somebody else that'd be interested. If somebody might want to nominate her, yes. It'll be the same process.
I'm happy to make that nomination, well, if that's something that she would want.
Is that something that you'd want? Okay. So now you know that, again, the same process, we're going to vote. Don Emery is up first. If he gets more yes votes, he will be the vice. If he gets more no votes, then we go to another motion. Any discussion here? Andrew?
I'd like to do the same as I did for you, Don. Could you give us a 3-minute spiel as to why you would like to be vice chair?
I don't know if it'll be 3 minutes, but I'll do my best, and I will speak up.
Well, that's the limit. Please.
I feel a lot like Jody does. I've got the time. I'm willing to put in the work. I do care about this community. I've got 3 grandsons going to school here and a granddaughter coming up soon. So I'm very passionate about what's going on, and I want to work. That's what I got.
And Jody?
I would ask that Robin explain why she would like to continue as vice chair.
I've had the honor of being in this area now for 13 years. Our daughter graduated from this high school. I've had the honor of working with the staff at all of the schools, either in a teaching position or a nursing position, and working with these students. I am here for the kids. I am here for the staff. And fortunately, being a farmer, I've got the time. I don't have to hold off my phone calls. So I've worked very well with Bob and with Scott over the last 3 years. So I'd like to continue on.
Jody? And then Holly.
Robin, can you clarify how you're here for the kids?
I think that they need the support of the community, and I am here to push the community to support the kids. And I'm also here for those kids that don't get to talk. They may not have the support that they need, and I want to make sure that that doesn't get cut, which is my main concern. And yes, I'm talking about types of minorities that most people don't recognize that I have seen some phobias with on this board.
Holly?
How many years have you served on the board, and how many years have you served as vice?
I've been on the board for 3 years, and I was elected vice chair at that time. I've been very fortunate enough. I have a master's degree from the Muskie School of Public Service in in public policy and economic development. My specialty is in rural economic development, and at top of that economic development is school systems. No, you can't improve a community without a darn good school system. And I have been executive director of Maine Rural Partners, and that's all economic development for the state of Maine. I've had the pleasure of serving on USDA national boards, and so I have a lot of board experience and a lot of committee experience and a lot of leadership positions. in those boards and committees. So yes, I was elected my first year here.
And did you mention that you've had this phobia, some kind of phobias on this board of
I
some
believe
sort?
there are some kinds of phobias on this board, yes.
Could you explain?
No, I'd really rather not.
Then how can we know what you're talking about?
I'm just laying it out there.
Any, Roger?
So even if we're not going to get into the details about what phobias we're talking about, one of the code of ethics is not to disparage your board members. And that just clearly happened at a meeting on recording in front of everybody. I think Don Emery's the clear choice.
Anyone else? Seeing none, roll call, please, as the sound gets worse.
Yes. No. I apologize. Would you please restate the question?
Restate the motion?
Restate the motion.
The motion is for Don Emery to become school board vice chair.
I vote no.
Lena Coates,
No.
Jody Cordes,
Yes.
Elaine Fitzgerald,
No.
Don Emery,
Yes.
Roger,
Yes.
Holly,
Yes.
Sasha,
Yes.
Brian,
No.
Tina,
No.
Bob,
No.
Don Strout,
Yes.
Andrew.
Yes.
Okay. Seven yes.
Motion passes. Welcome aboard.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, the adjustments we've already gone through, so we're all set there. I entertain a motion to accept the May 9th, 2024 school board meeting minutes. A motion for that, someone, please? Don Emery and Elaine will second that. Are there any errors or omissions? Yes. Seeing none, roll call, please.
Robin? Yes. Lena?
Abstain.
Jody?
Yes.
Elaine?
Yes.
Emery?
Yes.
Roger?
Yes.
Holly?
Yes.
Sasha?
Oh, she stepped out.
Brian?
Yes.
Tina?
Yes.
Dawn? Strout?
Abstain.
Andrew?
Joyfully abstained. It was a little girl.
Bob?
Tasha's back.
Sasha?
Abstain.
Yes, for me.
Thank you.
So moved. Next one's a tough one. Entertain a motion to accept the resignation notification from Michael Glenn, principal at Spruce Mountain Primary School, effective June 30th, 2024, with deep, deep regret. Motion by Elaine. Do we have a second? By Holly. Anyone would like to comment? Elaine?
I was privileged to be on the committee that helped select Michael for principal at the primary school. And we were just so impressed unanimously amongst the entire committee. And he's done some really wonderful things. I understand that the need to be closer to home is very important because he's a family guy. I can't express how much I appreciate what he's done for our kids and our school and our staff, and we're really going to miss him, but we wish him the very, very best.
Anyone else? Holly?
I'd like to thank him for being the principal at the primary school. I haven't been in a lot of interaction with him, but from the things that he's brought to the board and shared with us, he's been a very hands-on principal, and the children seem to really care a lot about him. And I hope that we can find someone that is somewhat close to his temperament and ability, because the primary school really needs somebody like him. He did a very well job, job well done.
Absolutely. Anyone else? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Yes.
Andrew,
Yes, reluctantly.
Tina,
Yeah.
Brian,
Yes.
Tasha,
Yes.
Holly,
Yes.
Roger,
Yes.
Don Emery,
Yes. Yes.
Jenny,
Yes.
Jody,
Regretfully, yes.
Lena, Robin,
Yes.
Bob.
Regretfully, yes. So moved. Mr. Keller?
Do I have to turn it on? I worked in a gym. I should be able to handle this. Good evening. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Mark Keller. I'm the assistant principal and athletic director at the high school. I'm here to ask tonight for permission to take a group of students on the Moose River trip, which we've done for 3 years in a row here at Spruce Mountain High School. Prior to that, I did it with the Mount Abram High School Outdoor Club while I was there, and then 2 years while I was here for this. So this would be my 12th trip down the river. The trip would take place from June 23rd to 27. That's a Sunday to a Wednesday, or Thursday, excuse me. The 23rd is a day of preparation where all the students come into the school. We pack all of our items, we prep, we learn. They find out more about the trip and what it's going to be like. We talk about how to read a river and things like that. How to set up a camp. We set up camp duties for while we're on the trip. And usually that day goes from about 8 o'clock to 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the afternoon, because we have so much to do, including like taking canoes off a trailer and how to put them back on safely, and tying knots so that they're there and will remain there for the entire road trip to get to the Moose River. So the Moose River is in Jackman, Maine. So it'll take us a few hours to get there. When we arrive there on the first day, we would leave here at 6 o'clock in the morning. When we arrive there, sometime in 11 o'clock or so, after a couple of stops for bathroom breaks and snacks along the way, we will put all of the gear into the canoes, and we will canoe about 300 yards across Holub Pond to the first campsite, which is a great experience because some kids at that point in time don't have a clue how to steer a canoe. So it's about 300 yards. Some of them it takes about 2 to 3 miles for them to get there after all the water that they've covered. We get camp set up, and then in the afternoon what we do is we take them out onto the lake, and we practice how to steer a canoe. We practice all the safety things that they need to know. We do what are called wet rescues, which means we actually have every boat flip over in the water, and then have another boat come over and rescue that boat, and have those kids then climb back into their boat in the deep water, so that they are prepared to go down the river. Usually that evening is around camp, just learning a lot of stuff and just kind of communicating and getting to know each other. The chaperones will set up who's going to be canoeing with who after watching what we saw during the day so that we know that we have safe boats going down the river. In the morning on that Tuesday, we'll get up and we will paddle, and it's depending on the water level and how fast it's flowing, anywhere from 6 to 7 hours to get to Holub Falls. Once we get to Holub Falls, there's a 1/4 mile portage where we have to carry all of our canoes and gear to the campsite, which is a beautiful campsite right along the river. There's a nice little almost pond in that area, back eddy. And so the tents will be all set up and we'll do dinner again that night. The Holub Falls is right there, just a short walk from the campsite, and so they get an opportunity to see a beautiful campsite. The next morning would be Tuesday morning. We get up in the morning and we paddle out to Addian Lake. We either stay at Addian Falls or we will canoe across Addian Pond and stay on the lake. That's going to depend on the weather and the wind. And how tired they are by the time we get to Addian Falls. There's a couple 100-yard portage that's really relatively simple. Most of the time we just leave the gear in the canoes and 6 or 8 kids will pick the canoe up and move it to where we need to put in again to avoid Addian rips. Wherever we stay that night will depend on what time we get up in the morning. Usually we're off the water on Thursday by about 11 o'clock. And then we purchase some pizza for them for all their hard work, and they don't have to eat my camp cooking anymore. And we usually eat on the side of the road. If you've ever been to Jackman, there's an overlook that looks out over the entire trip that they've just done. It's called, Jackman is called the Switzerland of Maine. It's just absolutely gorgeous with the mountains and the lakes right there. And so we eat lunch there and then head back. And usually we're back here by about 3 o'clock, and then they meet their parents. This provides a great opportunity to learn about the outdoors. They'll do fly fishing. They'll do, obviously, canoeing, canoe skills, and just kind of develop a sense of community with some kids that they may not necessarily know very well. The trip is open to 8th graders coming up to the high school, so incoming freshmen, through seniors that will be graduating. So we could have a couple of seniors in there. It's great for them because most of the time they've been on the trip a couple times, so they're kind of our student, almost former student leader, our alumni leader, and they can really help out with a lot of things. We have 4 chaperones going. Myself, I've been a Master Main guide for 21 years. Mr. Plourde, who's has a lot of outdoor experience in the military and has been on this trip for 3 years. Officer Sage is going to go with us as a chaperone this year. He's never been on the trip but does a lot of outdoor stuff. And my wife, Paula Keller, who works at the high school, who's been on the trip with me 3 times, will be our female counselor. So, looking for permission to be able to do that, and then we can disseminate permission slips to the students as soon as possible. The trip will cost $75. We do have some money left over in the outdoor club activity account that we can pay for students if they do not have the ability to pay for themselves. So the money is basically, it's for food, is really all it is. We're just, I go to Walmart or Hannaford and get all the supplies we need once the menu's prepared, and that's about it. So.
Okay, so in order to do questions, we're going to have a motion on the floor. I'd entertain a motion to allow the Moose River Trip 2024 led by Mark Keller. Motion by Tina, second by Jody. I've got a couple of questions. What are your numbers usually?
Usually, we set it at 12. If you see on the paper, it's set at 12. Last year we took 15. The year before we took 15, and the year before that we took 13. So we say 12 because it kind of gives us a good number to shoot for, but we're always willing to take an extra if we, or 2 or 3 if we can. As long as we have the ability to do that, we will. Obviously, once you get up around 20, then you start running into campsite issues and things like that. So,
any questions? Holly?
We don't turn anybody away. Right, and you know, the funny thing is we get kids like, some kids have never slept in a tent before. And where we take them, there's no self-service, there's no nothing. And it's funny how many kids, when they get back in the van on the way home, say, can you just hold on to my cell phone for just a couple more hours? I really don't want it right now.
That's awesome. Cool. Any?
I don't really have a question. I just want to thank you for doing that. And if you did have some kids that maybe the 75 was a hang-up, I'd be more than happy to sponsor one or two if that ever, crosses the issue or whatever.
Thank you. I
And then
appreciate
just
that.
one more thing, just because I've never spoken to you personally, I want to thank you for the smile I get when I walk into the high school. When I was there as a kid, I got greeted with a puffy chest and an intimidating look. I walk in, you're smiling, I feel welcome, I feel like you're happy to see me, so I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Laura, you have a question?
So, I have worked with Keller, I worked with her at Naughty Room, and I've never, ever had one kid that has come back with a bad experience. They have all been smiles, and no, they've always asked me to go.
She always denies.
I'll help, I might go taking a long trip. But I'm not getting in there.
Oh, cut it out. You always get a smile.
Moving on. Any other questions, comments? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Robin?
Yes.
Lena?
Yes.
Elaine?
Yes.
Jody?
Yes.
Polly?
Yes.
Tasha? Yes. Dawn? Emery?
Yes.
Roger?
Yes.
Tina?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Andrew? Yes. Dawn Strout? Yes. Bob?
Yes. So moved.
Thank you very much. I hate to present and run, but I have a foreign exchange student that's going to academic night at Mount Blue, so I appreciate it. Have a good night.
Thank you. No public comments. The ladies aren't here. They're at a track meet. Good luck to them. Board member comments. Tasha?
Sorry, guys. I would just like to say that I went to the vocal ensemble this week at the high school, and those kids did a phenomenal job. So if you haven't had a chance to attend, do it next year. Those kids put in some hard work, and Ms. Funnelson does an amazing job with those kids. So a huge thank you to her.
Thank you. Andrew?
I was fortunate enough to attend the honors banquet for the graduating seniors, and very pleased with their academic achievements and their future plans, and they're going to some great schools, and looks like we have a district that has prepared them for the future, and I hope the kids do well.
And I am going to say, if you haven't seen the pictures of his grandchild, they're absolutely adorable. Anyone else?
I had the opportunity to go on the fourth grade field trip to the Windsor Fair last Friday, and I thought it was a really great program that they have down there. It's an agricultural fair. They got to see animals and all kinds of different things, and I was impressed with all the students and the teachers. We had no issues whatsoever. It was a fun-filled day.
I just wanted to thank whoever made it so that the ladies softball team from the middle school could play at the high school field, what a difference it is. And also, those Phoenix softball players, undefeated so far, so doing great.
Anyone else? Seeing none, superintendent report.
Good evening. In my office, I got the signed diplomas today. It was nice. I was fondly remembering these students who were my 7th graders my last year as a high school principal. It goes by pretty fast. Met with consultant Leah Boyd, our administrators, and our counselors to set up our public meeting with regards to the bullying survey, which will take place on June 10th. Attended the Western Maine Administrators Consortium, and we renewed the certification of 4 area administrators. Also had a meeting with Crystal Flagg, Ken Vining, and Chris Hollingsworth to discuss our ESSER 3 wind down and to look at where we are financially in regards to the ending of the grant. It ends on September 30th of 2024.
Questions, comments for Scott? Seeing none, administrative reports. Jenna?
Hello. So one of the things I wanted to talk about tonight was the move of the softball field too. The second a concern was brought up to the administrators, literally the next game they had it moved. And it was beautiful too because, you know, there were some people that still had a little difficulty getting out there, but vehicles were able to be driven out there and, you know, get the grandparents involved in watching their grandchildren play, and it was awesome. I did want to say that I am very sad to watch Michael go. In my new position, I've been able to be at the primary school a bit more, and I've never seen him once sit at his desk. You know, he's always there with the kids. He's always helping the staff, and I think it's kind of funny that we have behavior plans where the reward is getting to see the principal if they do what they're supposed to be doing. And, you know, that's not normally a reward a kid wants, right? Like maybe a gift or something like that. But these kids want Michael as their reward. So I think that's a beautiful thing. I know Sherry spoke to you at the last meeting and said that we found a long-term sub for my old position. And she was able to spend 2 days kind of a green day and a black day watching the current sub do things, and we were able to go over all the lesson plans and stuff, and she's amazing and came to us with raving reviews. So we were so fortunate there. Next week we plan on having some interviews for 3 open ed tech positions throughout the district, 2 at the elementary, 1 at the middle school. So hopefully we'll know a little more about that. We still have we have 2 open special ed teacher positions at the high school. Right now we only have 1 applicant. We're hoping to get more. So continue to push that we would love to have some, you know, qualified teachers apply for that position. At the end of June, Sherry and I are going to be going to a special ed director conference, and on the way home we're going to go to a training on how to help current staff members kind of work their way through becoming like certified teachers in different areas. And I think sometimes there are staff that maybe want to switch over from one subject to another, and they have to take classes, and sometimes they end up taking a roundabout way, which is, you know, frustrating, right? Because they're putting so much time into their classroom anyway. So hopefully we can help combat that in the future. Our 504 numbers have basically stayed the same, although there has been movement. We have had some students move out of district. We have had some kids that maybe have gone over to an IEP, which is a little more restrictive because they require direct instruction. But we still have about 86 total students. I think at my next board report, I'll be able to tell you the total number of referrals we've had this year, but it'll be well over 43, 44, 45, and that's huge. That's huge because that says that kids are starting to get what they need, and that's a real beautiful thing. So at the high school, we have 35 active cases. We have 2 referrals. So our active cases did increase by 2. At the middle school, we have 25 active cases and 4 referrals. The active cases stayed the same, but I suspect those 4 referrals will go through. At the elementary school, we have 11 active cases and 1 referral. And at the primary school, we have 8 active cases and 0 referrals. I'm sure you've noticed before that we tend to have less cases at the elementary and primary school. And that is because, you know, the requirements for kids for what they need to know is much less at those levels. And we have a lot of natural things built in, like Title I and extra help. So, so they are getting the help they need. But once they start to get into middle and high school, that's really when the accommodations, you know, they really start to need them because they start taking longer tests, longer quizzes. And sometimes hormones are a real thing, right? Sometimes they just need to be in a quiet place to take a test. Other than that, we just have 3 more anticipated referrals that I'm just waiting on some documentation for. But other than that, that's where we're at right now.
Questions or comments? Donna?
I have a question.
Sure.
Do we have speech available to children in
Yes.
primary school? and stuff?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
The majority of kids that are on an IEP at the primary school are on it due to speech services.
Okay.
And a lot of time, once they learn to use their mouth and
Yes.
use their tongue in the right way, they no longer require the speech services and no longer require an IEP.
All right.
So-
No, I was just curious, because a parent, and I told them there has to be a misunderstanding, that they were told that their child wouldn't get speech, just OT. And I'm like, if it's in their IEP, we have to provide it.
Right, so we have a thing that it's called the least restrictive environment, okay? So the kids need to be in the mainstream as much as possible. So when you have an IEP, you have to have strong data to show that you have a genuine weakness. And sometimes, you know, if kids have a hard time tying their shoe, parents will want OT right away. Or if, you know, they might have a little bit of a lisp or a stutter, they might want speech services right away. But in order for us to stick with the least restrictive environment, we have to try other things before we go directly to special ed for that. So I don't know the case, and if, you know, the parent wants to reach out to us to talk a little more about it, I'd love to do that. But I suspect that if they truly need it and testing shows that they need it, it will be happening for sure.
I figured it was a misunderstanding. It's in the IEP.
Well,
They just said we don't have a speech specialist available at this time.
yep. And so it is natural sometimes for us to not have maybe staff because someone goes out on maternity leave or something like that. But when we do have the person back, we make up for the time they've missed, right? So if they meet for one time a week for 15 minutes, when the person comes back, they'll meet twice a week for 15 minutes, or we always find a way to align those. So, yep.
Anyone else?
So Jenna, how's staffing? What are we looking at needing to hire over the summer?
So we need to hire 3 ed techs, but we have 5 applications for those, so that's good.
Yeah.
And we need two resource room teachers at the high school level, as of right now. Right? This is the time where people make big changes, right? If they're
Right.
going to move, they usually choose over the summer or whatnot, so.
All right, thank you.
Anyone else? Thank you. Chris?
Okay, good evening. All right, so in the technology world, of course, we're getting near the end of the year, so we're really starting to look towards next year. But we're lucky enough through some of the remaining grant money. We secured HP Chromebooks for all the 9th graders. Those have actually already arrived. So that's a good thing. So they'll have the new Chromebooks going into high school. Because as you know, the Milty ones usually stay, and the ones we get from the state stay in the middle school, and so when they go to high school, they really need something new. We don't like to take the senior ones and send them back down to the 9th grade, and we like to do it in a 4-year cycle, so it's nice to get the 9th graders Chromebooks. And then as a bonus, we do still have the MLTI program through the state, which they buy a grade level worth of Chromebooks as well. And they've expanded it now so we can actually go a grade or two below. And so for next year, we're actually getting new Chromebooks for the 5th grade. So they'll have all new Chromebooks. So we're really starting to step up as far as getting a little more current and not having Chromebooks that are too outdated and start to have weird issues and stuff. But the great thing with these two, we've gotten actually 2 full classes, grade levels of Chromebooks, and it's all money from grants, so none of it came local. So that's all good, except for through your federal taxes. On the curriculum side, it's going to be a very busy summer. Of course, we have the summer institutes, and then this year we timed it out right. So we finished. You can actually go on to the RSU73 website now under the teaching and learning site, and under work in progress. We have the K-12 scope and sequence for math. Every grade's filled out now. It's current. It shows what they're going to be working on, whether it's addition to 10, subtraction to 2 digits, whatever it may be. It's showing where they're going to be working on that at what grade level, what semester at the lower levels, and then what quarter at the upper levels, all the way up through algebra. So that's great. And so this summer they're going to be working, teachers are going to be working in grade levels and teams to connect the assessments that they'll be using to show the kids have made progress in those, and they'll be connected directly to that. Of course, that will be only staff will be able to have access to that, so we won't put the tests out to the public. But at least then anytime we have a new teacher come in or anything like that, they'll be able to go right to that and be able to have the assessments to know what they're going to be teaching, as well as have the assessments to assess it as well. And we also finished up, just got back our literacy audit that we had done, K to 8. It was a quick turnaround. She came in and looked, did some surveys, talked to staff, watched some classrooms, looked at our data, and then did a quick turnaround. So right now I was hoping to give out the literacy audit to you all right now, but technically it's still in draft form because she needed to make a couple more updates. She met with us Wednesday during our ELA meeting and went over it and answered questions, and then is going to make a few updates and give us a final draft. And once that's out, I'll be sharing that with all of you so you can see what some of the information that came out was and some of the recommendations. And it was good because it fits in with a lot of things we're doing. Obviously, one of the recommendations was writing. We need something for writing, which is great because now we have, it's actually going to be a 2-tiered approach. We're going to have professional development called the Writing Revolution, which is, it's not a curriculum, it's really professional development. It's a book, and it's classes teachers can take to actually teach them how to write for kids and things to do and skills. And then we're also purchasing with grant money through the state a writing curriculum, a writing workshop curriculum that's going to have teachers be able to set up writing workshops in their classroom and give them anchor papers and things like that that they can use, and give them a rubrics to use as well. So there's going to be a lot of professional development around that this summer and going into the fall.
Questions, comments? Elaine?
I just want to thank Chris for the invitation to the English Language Arts Committee meeting. I appreciate it. Unfortunately, it was a little short notice. I wasn't able to be there, but I'm interested in the summer sessions
Yep.
as we continue to get that curriculum laid down.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyone else? Thank you.
Thanks.
Ken?
Good evening. 16 more days. We get to start summer projects and getting things going for the next school year. This time of year, May through the first part of June, seems to be our busiest time with maintenance and and custodial part, and I also believe it is probably with the transportation because of all the field trips and things that happen. We certainly, with the grass coming up and going good, we have to take care of the fields and getting the sports things ready to go. We have to do all the daily duties, and graduation coming up, we have to set up for that, plays, concerts. Seems like everybody tries to cram things in this last month, but we always seem to get through. We have a great crew, and I really praise them and thank them for what they do. This summer is going to be a very, very busy summer for us. There again, also with vacations and things, it really sets a lot of things back, but yet we have a lot of main projects going on. One this past Tuesday, Scott and myself met on a telephone call with Regan Goen. The district has gotten a safety grant that's going to come into all the schools and apply what they call a safety type film on all the classroom windows, all the ones that are on the first floor. And what this does is basically it doesn't stop a bullet from going through, but it will stop the window from shattering if one did come through. That's something that's going to start probably around the June 18th. Also, hopefully at June 18th, we're going to start a project in this school here also, from right over here, the main doors all the way down to the left side, all the way down to the end. We're going to be replacing a lot of pipes that have been rusted out and things over the years. Up top, which is for my heating. We've already done the right-hand side. This summer we'll be doing the left-hand side. We're also going to be replacing the four propane tanks that you see out here will be replaced through Dead River, and we'll be installing what they have for an electric vaporizer, which will help our heating system go a lot more efficient in the wintertime and save us from having some freeze-ups. We're also going to have a new generator installed. It will be installed out here. The small one will be gone. We'll have a big one installed. This project probably will take most of summer because they come in and put all the new electrical boxes in and everything else downstairs. I think that's going to be a great thing for this district. That will guarantee 3 of our schools can run anytime we have power outages. The elementary has a smaller generator which we can run the heating system with, so we can always have heat. And we're also going to take this generator out here, and we're going to try to have it installed. And hopefully that will be able to boost up all the technology and things that we need in the building over there. So it's a great thing to happen. A lot of these projects have come out of the ESSER funds, which we all know is going to be going away in September. It's certainly been a blessing. You add all these things on that we're going to have for projects, and summer school is going to be, summer rec, is going to be in this building right here, in this gym and in this cafeteria. Summer schools in the buildings. We have a lot of programs going on here and things, so it's going to be hectic and it's going to be busy. I look forward to it. I'm going to end with a quote. I wrestle with a lot of quotes. I sit around sometimes when I do reports and read on different ones and things that help me in my own life and things. This is, like I say, please don't ever take offense to my quotes. And sometimes they're totally ridiculous, and sometimes they may help out. But I wrestled this week with an Albert Einstein quote, or a Winston Churchill quote, or even a Barack Obama quote. And the one that seemed to fit me the most, and I said, I got to get my blood pressure down from after thinking about what we're going to do in the summer. I went with a Marilyn Monroe quote, and the quote was, "Keep smiling, because life is a beautiful thing, and there's so much to smile about."
I like that one. That was a good one. Questions, comments? Thank you. Norma?
Hello. Just to let you know, I was named after Marilyn. My name's Norma Jean. Did you know that? So, Not a whole lot. We've had a lot of field trips, sports trips the last couple of weeks. Bused the high school students around 3 towns to do the community service on Monday. There were a lot of students who participated this year, which I was really impressed with. The cemeteries and the town parks, grounds look fantastic. I got to ride around that evening. We have 2 bus drivers who have finished their classroom training with me, and one is getting ready to send in for their permit, and the other driver is yard training and on the road training. I believe this driver will be ready to drive by fall. I went to Bonnie Eagle High School today with one of my maintenance /bus driver, Ronnie, and got more information about propane buses. I left a couple of things. I'm very interested in this, and if you guys have a chance, it would be great for you to talk to people about it, because I think that's the way we need to be headed. Economically, it just blows me away, the money that we can save as a district. Right now, these are a few schools that I looked at. Auburn School Department has 20 propane buses, and they have 40 in their fleet, total buses, and 20 of them are propane. And they've had propane since 2014. Gorham School Department has 22 propane buses, and they have 30 total buses in their fleet, and they've been running them since 2016. Bonnie Eagle has 33 buses in their fleet, 3 more on order, and that's all they run is propane. And they've been doing it since 2010. And RSU9, Mount Blue, has 20 propane buses, and they have 38 buses total in their fleet, and they've been running propane since 2015. Until I got into this, I really didn't realize that so many was already operating. Things to know and keep in mind, at 41 degrees below zero, these buses will start without being plugged in. You can go on YouTube and see hundreds of videos and proof of it actually happening. They still have engine warmers just to keep the oil transmission fluid, they have to keep warm so it'll circulate, but they literally warm up within 10 minutes of a cold start. It's just, idle time is amazing. 2027, we're looking at major emission control. They're adding another DEF to the diesel buses, which financially is going to hurt school departments when it comes to that. That means more to go wrong, more filters and more quarts of oil. Don't have to have a diesel mechanic to work on these. There's one 8-hour training session that Bluebird is willing to do for free. Actually, our mechanic's going down just for the heck of it in August to learn about propane, just in case we go that route in the future. He'll be prepared to hop right on board with us. And he went out to Detroit with me in April. So right now, there are some great grants that we can get through the EPA, and another grant if you turn in any diesel buses over 2011 that are operated every day with diesel. You can piggyback the grants, so you can use them per bus. You can use both grants per bus. And actually, I literally just got this info. He sent me a text message because he forgot to give it to me. It's called a grant info. It's called DERA funds, D-E-R-A. It's $46,000 per bus that you trade in. It has to be 2012 or newer, diesel. And then you also have the Clean School Bus Program that will give you another $30,000 per bus. Bluebird has a grant specialist that will help get you those grants. And the federal fuel tax on top of that, right now, they're paying $1.81 a gallon for propane for their buses, for 33 buses. So, something to think about. That's all I got.
I have a question. What's the cost of one of these?
Same cost as diesel. It's about $137,000 to $150,000, and now they come standard also with tinted windows and backup cameras.
Nice. Any other questions?
So.
Don?
I saw that the cost of operations, just perusing the flyer you sent around, is the least of all, correct? Am I right in saying?
Oh yeah, it blows my mind. The more that I've learned about it, the more I've read and the more info, and it's just cost effective.
Would we need to install some type of facility for fueling this?
No.
No?
You should. If you're going to go, if we're going to start off like getting 2 or 3 buses at one, you could actually have a bobtail come in and deliver your fuel on a daily basis.
And the other question I had is that they talk to you about longevity of these compared to, I know diesels go for a long time, but I know about the longevity of these buses.
I can tell you this, fuel filter wise, you only have to change the fuel filter every 50,000 miles.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Holly?
Buses do we need? Or how many buses do we have that would trade in?
I have 5 that I would love to trade in towards propane. I have 5 buses that they're called EFXs that were actually purchased with COVID money, I believe. And we've had tons of recalls on them. Tons. We've had lots of starter issues. We have one bus right now that's on its 8th starter, and they have no reason why.
Wow.
Yeah.
And what's the time frame that we have to get this grant money?
I believe it's, I'll check, but I believe you said 18 months.
18 months.
And they actually believe, the guys that I talked to today believe that they will actually up that if, the schools start. And another thing I want to mention too, because one of the things is infrastructure. And the one thing that U-Haul has jumped on board, and so unlike, I don't want to put down electric buses, but one thing that we are prepared for is there are school departments, so if we take a long trip, the school departments that I met were at the Bonnie Eagle today. We do like a mutual aid thing, so if the bus breaks down, we call a school, they bring us a bus, we borrow the bus.
Nice.
Same with propane. If they have propane, they're going to let us fuel at their propane.
Oh, nice.
And U-Haul also has filling stations
Oh.
that you can set up account with.
Oh, so that's a lot better than electric.
Yes. Yep.
Anyone else? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Roger, when that flyer gets to you, this side needs it next? The flyer that's coming? Oh, you have one there? Can we send that one down the other way? Thank you. Robin?
Good evening. Yesterday, I presented at the Maine Connectivity Digital Equity Summit at UMF with our grant partners from RSU9, Greater Franklin Economic Community Development, and the librarian from Webster Library in Kingfield. The Maine Connectivity Authority selected our Franklin County model as an example of innovation and success to showcase around the state. Our collaborative is the only one in Maine who chose to hire digital literacy instructors through adult educations and travel around the county and build relationships with librarians and social service organizations to ensure that our most disadvantaged populations have access to our one-to-one tutoring and resources. This event was very well attended. Lincoln Auditorium was packed. And we learned a little bit more about the next round of funding for FY26, and it looks like Maine has already received $5.7 million, so those grant applications will go out and we'll get to vie for that money. On a digital literacy note, we received a heartfelt message from a community member who met with Ernie earlier this week. If you don't know who Ernie is, he works full-time for the tech department, and at night he works for us 3 to 4 nights a week, going around to different libraries and working out of our adult ed office to do digital literacy. So I just wanted to share a little snippet from that email. They said, I wanted to let you know how appreciative I am of the service I received today at the Wilton Library from Ernie. He was extremely knowledgeable and had a great way of helping this 81-year-old understand what to do with my computer. I do a weekly newsletter for my church, and I send it to 38 people. It was very important for me to understand what I was doing to cause problems. He also immediately noticed that my screen was cracked. Quite reassuring to find out what was wrong. Thank you so much. My newsletter should be much easier to produce now. So those little anecdotes really show the impact in our greater community, and I'm really happy that we've been able to do that. Last week, we received notification of our federal grant award for the adult and family literacy education, or what we refer to as AFLA funds. While we received the highest score in the state, we received 99 out of 100. We got an incentivized bonus for that. We actually didn't get the full asking amount. So the state of Maine received less money overall for the RFP to give out. And the population of learners is kind of what we got dinged for, because places like Lewiston, Portland, Bangor, they're seeing more multi learners, and we haven't seen that boom in population yet. More money is moving in that direction. So that just means we as a hub, so all the adult eds in Franklin and Somerset County, we're just going to have to go back to the drawing board and see how we can readjust for our FY25 plan. Certified medical assisting class ended on Thursday, so we have 9 students now in externships at Franklin Memorial Hospital, and they will graduate after they take their national exams in June. And I just want to say thank you to the teachers. If you're new on the board, our certified medical assisting class, like there are lots of medical assisting classes around the state. Ours we do a little bit different. With the externships, we work hand in hand with the hospital so that students do 16 weeks of class with us, and then they go right into externships. They take EPIC training at the hospital, and it's almost like an apprenticeship. They just go right in there, and then they get jobs as soon as they're done. We just tell them, just treat this whole experience like a long job interview, and you'll have a full-time job at the end. So that's worked really well for us. This was our 8th or 9th cohort, and over 75% of them have stayed right here in Franklin County out of that program. And to end on a good note, our building right now is packed full of middle school students tonight. They're taking the babysitter certification course in partnership with the hospital. So each student will receive a CPR first aid certification and an American Red Cross babysitting credential tonight after completing the course. We offer this 2 to 3 times a year, and it's only $10 per student. So it's nice to see a full room of kiddos today.
Nice. Questions, comments? Thank you.
Thank you.
Laura?
So, good evening. On April 30th, the Food Service Department was had the honor of catering the honors banquet, and I believe there was 22 seniors that were honored that night. On May 3rd, I went to our Capital Area Co-op. We opened our bids for this upcoming school year, and prime vendor this year will go to Dennis Paper again. On May 10th, I attended a Capital Area Co-op meeting in Augusta. On May 16th, I attended DOE's annual financial webinar, just kind of closing up our books and finishing out for the year. On May 20th, I attended the Reduced Sugar Limits in Schools webinar because there's new rules and regulations coming and what that's going to mean for us as far as our sugar limits in processed foods. This is going to be especially in our breakfast items and our cereals, our milks, and our yogurts. Some of these are taking place within this next school year, and some of them will be phased in over a period of time. Another requirement is the removal of the grain to our breakfast. Grain will be able to be used almost as an option, like a meat alternative. So that gives us a little bit more opportunity to minimize some of our sugars. And another thing that's going to be changing will be we will be able to substitute vegetables instead of fruits, which will help reduce some of our sugars as well. One of the things that we need to make sure that when we do that, that if we are giving like a starchy vegetable, where 2 times in a week we're hitting different subgroups, so it won't be a repetitive starch. So we're really looking at some major changes in our requirements in the next few years. So we're doing a lot of adjusting, and our manufacturers are all scrambling right now to figure out how to get our sugars to the cereals to the sugar levels for the food for the schools today. May 22nd, which was yesterday, I had the opportunity to go up to Dirigo and met with a food service director up there, and she and I have been working collaboratively, sharing information, and we was really looking at some of our production records as well as nutritional value on our foods, and really kind of making sure that we're kind of standardizing on all of our items and getting that out so that the nursing staff will also have access to that, and trying to streamline some of our processes so not everybody's doing the same work over and over, as well as sharing some recipes for some of our scratch cooking between the different schools, which has been quite nice. The department has been very busy with field trips, bag lunches, as well as preparing for field day for the end of the school year. So it's a pleasure. We've been really busy. Department's working really hard. I want to thank everybody within the department and everybody that helps us and supports us. It's always appreciated. And I just, at the end, I just want to say I hope everybody has the opportunity to reflect a little bit this weekend on Memorial Day and what that means, and spend time with your family and loved ones. And that's it for me.
Questions, comments?
Very important. Did they figure out where the potato goes?
Yes, Susan's got it.
Is it a vegetable or a grain?
It's a vegetable.
Okay.
Susan's going to keep it right there. State of Maine depends on it.
That's right. Anyone else? Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, just a reminder to board members, if someone comes to you and has a question or a concern, you can bring that to me. I can direct it to the right spot. If there's something that pops up, you can always call me. If I don't know, I can talk to Scott, and I'll get back to you. Those that have found that I really try to do that as quickly as possible. So, most of you turn in the committees that you were interested in. If you haven't, please do that. Otherwise, I'm going to assume that you just want to be on whatever committee I assign you to, and I'd like to have that list out for the next meeting. And tonight, we're actually going to have a finance report. Robin.
Okie dokie.
And Laura, we're going to add this every time we have a finance meeting under committees, we're going to have a finance report.
And I'll even give you the notes. You're welcome. All right, so we meet once a month, and Crystal Flagg goes over all the school finances with us. Usually by the 11th through the 15th of the month, we get a report from the solar company as to how we're doing with our solar credits. But this month, she didn't receive one. So we didn't get that report. She said after the holidays, she's going to call and find out what's going on with that. Health insurance, we all know that health insurance always goes up every year. Health insurance this year almost doubled. This was due to huge prescription drug prices. Also, claims exceeded premiums. So the premiums are going to be going up, and the deductibles will also be going up. We did budget enough to cover this. And also this year, the staff, teachers and staff, were offered 4 different plans to go on instead of just 2. So they had more of a choice in what they wanted to pay premium-wise and what their deductible was going to be. Grant-wise, as Ken said, ESSER 3 will be running out in September. We've got about $1 million left, and that's going to be all taken care of through Summer Institute and facility upgrades. Our checking accounts balance just fine. Adult ed, you make us look good. Food service, we always have a heart attack when we look at that last number, but your food service is doing quite well. Revenues are all up to date with the exception of the state, and the state comes in at the end of the month. So, any questions about the finances?
Thank you.
Okey-dokey.
Okay, you got your list of the appointments, hires. Next, where is that? Next board meeting is June 13th at the high school, and then our final one before our summer break on June 27th with a finance committee meeting. I'd entertain a motion to adjourn. Tasha, do we have a second? Lena, roll call, please.
Yes.
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 Yes. We're adjourned.